You are looking live from Chopper 12 at the city of Vicksburg, where the mighty Mississippi is expected to crest about noon tomorrow. That crest is expected to top 57 feet, more than 15 feet above flood stage. Good evening and welcome, everyone. News Channel 12's Linda Allen will join us live from Vicksburg in a few minutes. But first, we want to update you on this historic flood. Here is the latest on the mighty Mississippi flood. You are looking at the Yazoo Backwater Levee. Floodwaters have not topped this critical piece of flood prevention. State officials say if water does come across this levee, it will only be a small amount. Governor Haley Barbour says the levee will hold.
We do have some backwater levees that we're watching. However, we don't have any reason to anticipate there are going to be any levee failures of any significant public levees. Now, there are going to be some private, little small levees that get overtopped, but of the significant levees, we don't see any public levee that we anticipate there's a serious risk. But you can't ever be sure.
Tonight, we will take you back to Warren County to check in with a family that refused to evacuate. Last week, the Deer family decided to fight the flood by building a homemade levee. They used a bulldozer and a backhoe to construct a levee completely around their home. Tonight, we will show you if it worked. Tonight, we have volunteers manning the Caring for Mississippi phone bank. The number is 601-969-4612. It's 601-969-GO12. The volunteers are answering your questions about the mighty Mississippi flood. The number again is 601-969-GO12, 601-969-4612. Here is the latest on the Vicksburg crest. The mighty Mississippi will crest tomorrow in Vicksburg at 57.1 feet. The river is currently at 57 feet. My co-anchor Linda Allen is in Vicksburg at the Welcome Center as residents there are waiting for the river to hit its peak. Linda?
Well, Byron, it's interesting because I've been talking with a lot of folks throughout the day today, and they're telling me that it was actually up to 57.2 last night from the gauges that they're looking at. And now we're hearing talk that it's already fluctuating between 57.1 and 57, where it is right now. Chief Walter Armstrong is the chief of police in Vicksburg. Good evening. Good to have you with us tonight.
Good afternoon, Linda.
So you are hearing and seeing that the water has actually gotten up as high as 57.1, so we may have already kind of reached the peak.
Absolutely. That's what we're hearing at this time. And, of course, they have already downgraded it from the 57.5 to be around 57.1 or 57.2 crest on tomorrow.
The crest has been the big news. It's going to crest here in Vicksburg tomorrow. But as a law officer and working with all the agencies that are involved in this is not your primary concern because there are a lot of issues beyond the crest.
Well, the main thing, Linda, is that so far we haven't had any fatalities or serious injuries as a result of this flood waters. We have had over 800 families have been displaced, and we have numerous of roads closed. So it is an inconvenience, but the main thing is that we have a lot of law enforcement officers manning roadblocks in order to keep the people safe, and that's our main mission.
When you look at Vicksburg, we've had floodings before here. How is this different from what you've seen in the past?
Well, this is the worst one that anyone that lives here have ever seen. As you know, the highest flood was back in 1927, and this has surpassed that quite a bit. So right now, we're just holding these roadblocks, and we have officers on overtime, and that normally would be on their days off, but they're doing it in the name of safety for our citizens.
Chief Armstrong, thank you for taking time for us today. We'll be with you in the next couple of days to see how this impacts Vicksburg throughout the next week or so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
We want to go back up to Chopper 12 that is in the skies tonight, flying over South Vicksburg and now heading north so that we can give you a shot toward the Backwater Levee. Now, we've been talking so much about the roads and about the river, but this flood has also impacted an airport. News Channel 12's Brad Soraka is here with more on that.
That's right, Linda. Vicksburg Municipal Airport, is fully operational tonight, but from 2 o'clock yesterday to 2 o'clock this afternoon, that was not the case. That 24-hour period, there was just too much water on the runway. So officials created what's called a temporary displaced threshold to solve the problem.
The threshold is a marking on the runway where the aircraft can touch down. They can't touch down on the runway before that threshold. So what we have done is we put a temporary displaced threshold in place, which moves it up past the areas that are affected by the water.
Linda, coming up at 6:30, I'll tell you what that means for local air traffic in the area, having that shortened runway.
All right. We want to mention also that the Army Corps of Engineers has announced that at 1 o'clock tomorrow, they will be holding a news conference right here at the Welcome Center, Byron. They're going to be talking about the levee status. That has been the big concern for so many. Will these levees hold? They were, of course, put into play after we dealt with some historic floods here in the state of Mississippi. Will they hold up with these waters moving in? But for right now, it looks like we're about where we're going to be peaking here in Vicksburg. So hopefully we will start looking at these waters holding steady for a couple of days and then finally get them a chance to go back down.
It'll be interesting to see what the Army Corps has to say tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That'll be a lot of good questions, a lot of good answers at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Thanks, Linda. Well, the question we get asked most often is what roads are closed. The Mississippi Department of Transportation is activating their call center. The public is urged to call this number. It's 1-866-521-6368 for the latest road closure information. Throughout this flood, we have seen many residents are refusing to evacuate and doing what they can to protect their own property. In Warren County, we caught up with one man who took some drastic steps to save his house. Last week, we introduced you to Everett Deer. During that time, he was building a 19-foot levee made of mud around his property. He even considered building a levee to protect his 70 acres of corn from flood water. News Channel 12's Ross Adams went to check on Deer to see how things are going. His story as we continue our mighty Mississippi flood coverage.
Still standing high, this is Everett Deer's defense against the mighty Mississippi flood. A 19-foot levee he had built around his home. And now it looks like he won't need it.
Right. Well, I'd rather pull up there and see a levee that I didn't need is to pull up there and see my house flooded. You see, well, I don't regret building a levee, not at all.
Unlike what he said when he started constructing the mountain of mud, the Warren County man now believes the Backswater levee won't overtop or break.
I think the crest is coming tonight. And I think it's going to be 4/10 lower than what they see.
Deer is feeling pretty confident water won't reach his home or ruin his 70 acres of corn. You gonna sleep good tonight?
Yeah, I sleep good every night.
Just in case the worst happens and the levee breaks, Deer plans to use this backhoe to quickly fill in this open section to the levee to keep the waters out and his home safe.
You know, if the levee breaks, I'll still have like 12 to 24 hours for it to get very high on my levee.
Now, since he says he won't need that huge defense around his home, Deer tells us he plans to tear it down in the next 7 to 10 days, but he wants to make sure and wait until the levee crests just to be on the safe side. Reporting live from Yazoo County, Ross Adams, WJTV, News Channel 12.
All right, Ross reporting for us. Thanks, Ross. Well, we want to make sure that you have access to all of the latest updates, so we've started a flood newsletter. It is emailed out every afternoon at 1 o'clock. You can get it right on your smartphone and read the updates wherever you are. To sign up to have one emailed to you, go to our website, WJTV.com, type in the keyword flood. Well, don't miss News Channel 12's special report tonight at 6:30. Linda Allen will report live from Vicksburg with a look at how the flood will drive up all of our insurance rates. And News Channel 12's Ross Adams, he will have a live report on how some Yazoo County farmers are dealing with the flood. And Brad Soraka will show us how the flood is impacting operations at the Vicksburg Airport. These stories and more coming up tonight at 6:30 in our special report, The Mighty Mississippi Flood.
Here's your Storm Team 12 Vipercast.
Another gorgeous sun-filled day. A couple high clouds is forecasted. Really a pretty one, especially by the afternoon. It was pretty chilly once again this morning, but well, I'll tell you, Mother Nature is on cruise control. And the same thing for tonight. Should be a pleasant weather evening. Humidity still low, at least for the time being. We'll start you off in the mid-50s first thing in the morning. Got more heat and more humidity in the forecast. Just in time for the weekend. Storm Team 12 forecast up in about 4 minutes.
The Rankin County Sheriff's Department needs your help with identifying an unknown man who drowned in the Ross Burnett Reservoir. Officials released this composite drawing of the victim. If you know who he is, you are urged to contact authorities. Deputies say his body turned up in the waters near Lakeshore Apartments off Lake Harbor Drive. And the sheriff says they don't know anything about the man and are trying to find out who he is and how he got there. A court date has been rescheduled for Stuart Irby on DUI charges in Ridgeland. It was supposed to happen yesterday, but it's now changed to Tuesday, June 21st at 1:30. Ridgeland police arrested him on March 20th for speeding and driving recklessly on Old Canton Road near County Line Road. The Pearl Police Department hosts an honor guard training this week. Now more local news. Law enforcement from numerous agencies are attending a week-long course to become honor guards. The training includes casket watch and presentation of colors. The things that they've learned will be carried out at a funeral for the funeral of a fallen officer. The famed Goshen, Indiana Police Department is teaching the course. The State Department of Public Safety honors fallen Mississippi Highway Patrolmen at the headquarters in Jackson. This morning, loved ones and fellow comrades placed roses at the memorial site. 32 men have lost their lives since the department was first established in 1938. Governor Barber and First Lady Marsha Barber also attended the ceremony. Do you have questions on the flood? We have answers. You can call this number at 601-969-4612. We continue to work around the clock to bring you the latest updates. Up first, here's a live look from Chopper 12 over Vicksburg. Coming up tonight on News Channel 12 at 6, we will have continuing coverage of the mighty Mississippi flood.